I wanted to share a little bit of my ESC calibration research, although I'm sorry this isn't going to be very fruitful. Myself, when I came in here to calibrate my ESC in Ardu plane 4.1.0, when I click on calibrate ESC here, I get this error. Set param error. Please ensure your version is AC 3.3 plus. In my humble opinion, I'll look this up in a second. We'll look at it. I think what's that saying is Arducopter or a version of their software 3.3 plus. I'm not sure what AC 3.3 plus is at this point. That's just my supposition. But I get this in Ardu plane where the same hardware seconds later, if I have Arducopter, it calibrates 6 ESC successfully, but it won't calibrate in this case. I'm not sure what's going on there. We're still looking for that, and I assume this is the error a lot of people get. So I went out onto the internet, of course, and I just typed that in. Set perimeter area. Please ensure your version is ACC 3 plus. I started searching. And you come in here. You can see a lot of people are having this error. Now this error is from February 19th of 2019. Almost 2 years ago. Right here. They say if you, you get this error, update to the latest stable Ardu plane and make sure the vehicle is armed. Otherwise, no PWM output. Well, let's check that out. We'll come out here. We'll go to actions. We'll go into manual mode for kicks and grins. Now we're in manual mode. You can see right here. We'll arm it. I don't have a battery on it, so it doesn't matter. I'll force arm. Whoops. You're not going to let me do that right now, machine? This arm failed. Wait a minute. I'm armed? I guess I am armed. Okay. I'll do it. I know why that is. I come back in here. It gives me the same error. Let's disconnect, reconnect. It doesn't actually reboot the flight controller, so that might not help me. So personally, I think I am all those things right now, and I'm still getting the error. The reason I am armed is because of these perimeters right over here, which I have set the arming check to 0 and the arming required to 0. That's why I'm arming on power up, and I'm in manual mode. I don't think this fits this reply. I really don't. I'm having the same problem 2 years later, so this must be in 2021 or 2020. I'm having the same problem. The other thing I don't understand is it is a plain firmware flashed. Why it needs to be Arducopter. I think he's doing the same thing I did on the AC Arducopter. Again, we haven't researched this yet to see what that is. And here we go again. We're going to do the same thing. This just keeps being the same answer over and over, and people just keep saying that it's not working. Here, let's assume this is the same answer. Here's drone test. While doing escape in Autotune. Well, this is APM 2.6. That's probably, yeah, that's way back in 2016. No matter what it says right here, wow. Just need to load and install version 3.3. That's for sure Autotune 3.3. That goes back to that AC 3.3 plus there. But I really think this one is just too ancient to apply. Just too many version changes back. So we'll come into here from a different source. And he sees the same screen and the same error I do. Oops, or she. Tells me to download this again. So we all assume that's Autotune 3.3. This might be helpful to you. You follow this link. I'm not sure. Of course you can't. But this one says turn on your transmitter, put the throttle stick at maximum. You have to make sure that's giving you maximum pulse width, as my last video tried to help with problems that may have a reversed channel. All sorts of different things can happen when you take all this stuff out of the box for the first time and you've never done anything with any of it. Connect the LiPo battery. It tells you what will happen. Wow, this is a step I haven't seen before. Hope this helps somebody. With the throttle stick still high, this is just, back. This is back to 2016, so I don't think this particularly applies. But let's go through it and see what they're saying. They're saying turn on your transmitter and put the throttle stick high. Okay, we understand that. That's the way most, but not all ESCs are calibrated. Connect the LiPo battery. The autopilot's red, blue, and yellow LEDs will light up in this cyclic pattern. This means that it is ready to go into ESC calibration the next time you plug it in. That's not the way we do it nowadays. That's the way we did it back in the 2016. You kind of had to do it twice. Will the transmitter throttle stick still high? Disconnect and reconnect the battery. So that's two battery connections. The autopilot is now in ESC calibration mode. Wait for your ESCs to emit whatever musical tones or whatever your ESC manual says they should do to tell you that they see the high throttle position. Put the transmitter's throttle stick down to its minimum position. They should then emit some kind of indication that's in your ESC manual that they have captured the low throttle position and tell you that they have been calibrated. And it tells you long tone from the flight controller. ESCs are calibrated. If the long tone indicates successful calibration, raise the throttle a bit to see if the motors spin. Then set the minimum throttle, disconnect battery. You may read more here. And you should read your user's guide for your ESC, yes. So this, to me, yeah, we're back to Autotune, and we're in the, are we in Copter? Yep, right up here. Oops, in the blue, you can see we're in Copter right now, or I was talking about playing. ESC is an ESC is an EXC, but there may be different. And let's see if we got a date on this. Yeah, complete the radio calibration before ESCs. No props. Throttle up. Connect the battery. Disconnect the battery. Set throttle minimum. Here's places you can go and get videos on how to do it. Manual ESC by ESC calibration, where you just do them all individually on a quad. Anyway, I think this first of all applies to Autotune, but I think it's from years ago. This method works if the ESC is connected straight to the receiver, but doesn't if connected to your flight controller. Well, that's probably because you're not bringing the flight controller up in manual mode, armed, so it passes the signal without modification. It's either in a flight controlled mode where it's modifying the signal incorrectly, or it's just not passing the signal at all because it's not armed. It just beeps rapidly and continues until I remove the battery. Do you have any ideas? Yeah. Straight to the receiver. I have exactly the same problem. That one's not exactly like our problem. We go to another one here. You can see a lot of these. They're in the purple or lighter color because I've been through them before. Mission Planner, that's a pretty late version. Ardu Plane 398, that's pretty recent. Yeah, this is 2019. Tells you what they're using, and he gets set perimeter error. Please ensure your version is AC 3.3. You click OK, nothing happens. Yeah. He's using Emacs B Heli. When he connects it directly to the receiver channel 3, it calibrates perfectly fine. I can turn the motor on and off via the transmitter. This is something everybody should try. Now, if you're using a crossfire receiver or other receivers that are using a serial protocol, you're not going to have 3 pins, ground voltage, and a PWM signal on your receiver to plug this in. But most likely, if you have another one in your possession that does have one, you could use that receiver and do this step. When I connect the ESC to the PIXOC channel 3 on the PIXOC to pick up power fine, I can control the servos, but when I give through, nope, it doesn't start because you're not armed. You're not in manual mode. There's all sorts of reasons, but it has to do with the flight controller again being in control right now. Yep, inside the flight controller, most likely in radio calibration, he can see that the pulse width modulation value of channel 3 is ranging between 982 and 2006. Any idea why the motor's not starting? Well, most likely because you're not armed or in a manual mode. Inside Mission Planner servo output, if I click on reverse throttle, the motor does start at full speed. But again, the transmitter throttle stick has no effect on it. Yeah, there's something. I think that's the mode you're in. Now here's their solution. Wiring your PIXOC. Wire your PIXOC as you would normally wire for plane. Channel 1 aileron, channel 2 elevator, channel 3 throttle, channel 4 rudder, except put a switch or have the ability to disable power to the throttle motor ESC power that would normally come from the PIXOC power regulator. Sometimes my brain's a little slow. Let me see what they're saying there. Except put a switch to disable power to the ESC. Power that would normally come from the PIXOC power regulator. Well, there's a problem with that to the ESC. The problem with that is, if you've ever seen a PIXOC power regulator, it was a, basically it looks like a XT60 cable with a little module in the middle of it, and wires come off from that power regulator and go to the PIXOC to power it and stuff. And you put your ESC on one end of that and the battery on the other. I'm looking around the room right now to see if I have any. I have some of those around here someplace. And I could show you a picture of them. Let me see if I can find one on the internet real quick. peek. There you go. That's what they look like. So you can see right here, this is actually your voltage sensor, your current sensor, your power regulator for the Pixhawk. The Pixhawk comes out here and this plugs into the Pixhawk, as you can see right there. So you put your battery on one end of this and you put your ESC on the other. So let's go back to that and look at that statement one more time. So he wants you to put a switch or some way to disable power to the motor ESC power that would normally come from the Pixhawk power regulator. I think he wants you to put a switch right here so that your battery's still connected and you're getting power to the Pixhawk, but you're not sending power to the ESC. That would normally come from Pixhawk power regulator. Now, what he's saying right there, that would normally come from Pixhawk power regulator to ESC. Yeah, this seems to be from the Pixhawk power regulator to the ESC, but in truth, that board's just in parallel on them wires. The power of this and the amperage of this connection, especially on something like a hexa or an octa, would fry this board so fast it isn't even funny if that much amperage passed through it. So the power through this cable is not truly going through this board. So the assumption here, power that would normally come from the Pixhawk power regulator, is not true. There's no power to the regulator from the regulator through the regulator to the ESC. It's just we read amperage in parallel across or series across a okay, so it says initially keep this power switch off so no power to the ESC. This doesn't matter one way or another. There's nothing you're telling the ESC to do to calibrate the ESC. It's the flight controller you have to tell, I want you to go into calibration mode so that you pass your throttle signal through yourself without touching it. We must be able to select stabilize mode to do this process. Man. Power up with Pixhawk via your battery, connect with Mission Planner, go to Configure Tunes, so standard perimeter, scroll down arming checks, all uncheck it, all just uncheck all, just for ESC calibrating process. Make sure you come back and put those back the way they were. Yes, you should. Write those perimeters, turn off your battery, power it down. So what they're doing here is the same thing I was doing. They're setting the perimeters such that when you power up the flight controller, it comes up in both a manual mode and armed, except they keep talking about stabilize mode here. Must do that. I do not understand that because stabilize mode. I see stabilization as X, Y, and Z axis movements. I don't see it as stabilizing your throttle. That would be an altitude hold where it would. So that's sort of a stabilized mode. Anyway, arm the safety switch. So that's arming, which I'm doing manually. They're doing a rudder arming. That's the other perimeter I told don't do that kind of arming, just be armed. And channel 3 will now be controlled by your throttle stick. Move the throttle stick to maximum. Add power to your ESC by connecting the battery cable. Okay, that's logical. If you do, by doing all these backflips here, and this could be an old version, you would possibly have your full throttle PWM being passed through the flight controller without modification. So after your throttle sticks is at maximum, you can add power to your ESC by connecting that battery or the switch you put in there. Wait for the ESCs to beep that you've saved your maximum throttle position, lower the sticks to get your 0, you're out of here. Boy, this is again, it's 398 and this is 2019. You know, that's probably a fair way to do it. I think it's a lot of information for somebody to digest. But from what I'm hearing out of people, this isn't occurring. I'm going to grab this link right here just in case that does work over anything I've told, and I'm going to save that away for sharing on the link when I get through this video. We don't need this anymore. We don't need this anymore. We're just going to hit a few of these real quick. This is APM 2.8. This is from 2017. They were getting the set perimeter error. Ensure your version AC 3.3 plus back in 2017. This is one of the reasons I just don't understand why there isn't a plethora of information even telling you what this error code means when you see it. Let's see what their solution is. Resolved. I figured it out. It requires radio configuration before going to test motors. Well, sure. Actually, I don't think it does if you pass it through. So that's not really an answer for that question. We'll go into this one. Again, I've been here before. Mission Planner update for Autotune 3.3. So this even further solidifies my idea that they're talking about the Autotune firmware 3.3 and above. Autotune Flight Log. Boy, here's one of those telemetry things where you can look at what happened during your auto-tune after the fact. Well, I see a lot of people going into auto-tune and they're going, boy, I don't know if it's working or not. Well, this will tell you. And here we go. Esc Calibration. Oh, yeah, this is a case where there used to be a Esc Calibration Perimeter in the standard perimeters list right here. And you could go in and set it to a 1, and that was all you had to do. You could set it to a 1, unplug your flight controller, turn on your transmitter, set the throttle to high, power up your flight controller. Your flight controller would go into Esc Calibration. You could do your calibration, power down your flight controller, and as the calibration was complete, it would reset this perimeter to 0 for you and save it away in the platform. That perimeter is gone. It no longer appears. I didn't think it ever appeared in Ardu Plane, and we're actually talking about Ardu Plane. I can go back real quick and we'll look and see if this appears in Ardu Copter. And after, to ensure that, I'm going to try to go in here and load Ardu Copter. Let that be loading while writing out to the flight controller while I am continuing to go through this. I don't think this parameter still exists. It may or may not. And see, it controls whether Autotune will enter Esc calibration on the next restart. Do not adjust this perimeter manually. I did a lot, and it worked for me. because when I put it to a 1, it started up in Esc calibration mode if the throttle was high. So that's all that's going on in here. So I don't see that this, it just had some of the words we were typing in. So I have gone over and looked. Now in replies, we just start seeing there's just not a lot more information on that error. If it's been going on, here's one more. If it's been going on for 4 years, I don't see that anybody's really ever gotten the answer to that question. And that just really is kind of crazy for me. Well, let me see there. Oh, there it comes in. Whoops. I really don't think I can speak to you very intelligently about this page, except for the fact it does have the error we're talking about on it, but I can't understand the rest of it. I think I've taken enough time showing you that, man, researching that particular error typed in exactly as it is, there's just not a lot of information for it. And I'm pretty good at digging information out. Let's see if we have Autotune here. No, I think we do. Yep. We have, let's look up here, see if it's, yep, Autotune 4.0.7. We'll come into the full perimeter list and look down for ESC. It may be there, but the problem is I'm talking about Autotune plane. EK, ESC. Yep, right there it is. Esc calibration. If we were talking about copter right now, I'd tell you to set this from 0 to 1, right out the perimeter, power it down, turn on your transmitter, set your throttle to high, power your flight controller back up, listen for whatever your ESC manual tells you you're going to hear when it's in Esc calibration. Put your throttle to low, listen for what you're supposed to hear from your Esc manual, power down your flight controller. When you come back up, you will find this has been reset to 0 and saved away for you. I have it on Autotune sitting right in front of me. The props are on. I don't want to take the time right now to take 6 props off. This is kind of an FYI video because, as you can see, I am not successfully finding a lot of information on this error. There is one more thing I think I could do, but that's not Autotune plane on there. It's Autotune copter. Okay, come on. Yes. Yes. Electronics is fun. All the theory on the planet, no matter how good you are, sometimes the theory just doesn't work out and things do crazy things. So, most of the people I hear this problem from are talking about Autotune plane. Most of the people using Autotune copter, I don't think they're having Esc calibration problems like Autotune plane users are. I just saw in the past 48 hours, due to JD from JD FPV, I'll leave a link to his YouTube in my notes on the YouTube video. He pointed me in the direction to calibrate the ESCs on iNav, and we don't even do it with a radio in iNav. We do it inside the flight controller. I guess that gets rid of the problem of having that servo reversed, but I haven't seen where you do the radio calibration to make sure all that's passing through. I guess if your motor works after the fact of doing that, you're still in Fat City, but I'm still working in that area. So let's see what we have here now. I think we're back to the current. Nope. We're back to the beta or developer's version because that's what I'm going to fly on the mini Talon of Arduplane 4.1.0. I want the CRSF protocol. Now if we come down in Arduplane perimeters, looking for the Esc calibration perimeter, look, EKFB. It's not. That perimeter is not in Arduplane. Let's do one other thing that may lead to some resolution on this. Let's go into Arduplane. Okay, let's not do it that way. Let's try it this way. Nope, that's from hard drive. Okay, good. Here we go. Version type. Oh, it's not going to let us go back very many versions. But we'll go back to 4.4 on the 743. Well, that's all Arducopter. I'm going to run out real quick. Man, it's killing me. Going to run out real quick. Going to go to Ardupilot, if I can spell it, ardupilot.org. I'm going to go into the docs. I'm going to go into any one of these. Just going to pick plane. And then I'll have this, and I can go into plane firmwares. I'm going to have to tell it plane firmware again here. And I'm going to go and look for stable version 3.4.0. Oh, that's back to the APM modules. Maybe not. Let's go for, let's see what 3.9.10 is for. Man, probably shooting myself in the foot here because there's no Maytech 743 at that time. See the kind of things this gets into. Pixhawk 405 is out at that time. I'm trying to go back and get a previous version for the Maytech H743 wing and load that version of Arduplane. It's a few old that might show me if and when that error came out. It's just not. I probably need to do this on the 765 because the 743, finally, 743, what version was that? Let's try. I forget which one I was just in. I'll try 395. There's no 743. We'll try 399 for kicks and grins. No 743. 400. That's 765 now, but not the 743. I'd probably get away with that, but I'm not going to. So 401. We find, nope, not yet. So I should probably do the 765 wing here because I don't think I'm going to get my H743. Yeah, here we go. We finally get one a little older, 4.0.6. Arduplane with bootloader hex. That's what we want. Save file. Now I can load that. Come in here and custom firmware me to this. Error loading this firmware. You can be stymied at every turn. It looks like this isn't going to be fruitful for me either. Ardu plane. Yeah, that firmware just doesn't want to load. If I go beta firmwares here, it just does me the 4.1 beta. Yeah. So I can't get to a previous version for the H743 wing right now. I was just trying to see if this was still a problem in those versions. So that's just a little FYI information about this one particular error, which was set perimeter error. That I got when I tried to load up my do my Esc calibration in the last month in the mini Talon. I don't know what error particularly others are seeing. I assume it would frequently be this same error in the same fashion. But that's kind of where I've been researching, and as far as that error, I'm hitting a dead end on it right and left. If anybody sees this video and has any further information on this particular error for this particular video, please share it. I think we've ascertained now that this talks about Ardocopter version 3.3 or above. That still might not be what it means, but even the mission planner and Ardocopter people haven't addressed this error. If you go into, you can get to Autopilot that way easily too. Docs, plane. Do I still have that error in my search terms? I might not because I copied this over. Nope, I don't. We'll just search with that much. Nah, see, that doesn't even. You would think that that error would be able to be searched for and found in here, but it's not. That's very unusual for Autopilot. They usually are extremely good about their documentation. Okay. Again, this is just FYI. Kind of tells you that I'm still working on this, but I haven't come up with any answers yet. I found a way to do mine where it works for me. I've tried to explain that to others, and they keep telling me, no, that's not working for me. So I'm trying to find a way that works for you, and I'm sharing my failures along with my successes. I will continue to do so in this new Esc calibrations problems section of my YouTube videos, where I'm going to concentrate on Esc calibration problems. Thank you.